This kid, dude, shut the fuck up. I've actually told Crip. Crip actually knows the secret build. I actually told him. I'm streaming 24 hours a day for a week. Wait, what the fuck? Streamathon and now wait, he's doing a subathon? He's doing a subathon? It's pretty cool, dude. It's pretty cool. I like that. Pretty badass. Pretty pog.
On the ground, it begs the question of, like, do we just start dropping better rares from the core game? There's a lot of internal discussion about this, and we have a few strategies we're going to try first. We're not ready to talk about them yet, but we're consciously aware of the fact that we have to make sure that this is an experience that is still rewarding for players.
Crafting should be an option.
Yeah, Rich, good.
Yeah, no. So I think one of the big things that I wanted to ask as well a little while ago, I've been holding on to this question. When you actually mentioned some of the things with Reddit, I think you guys have a very different approach to dealing with the community. For us, we've gotten the pleasure to talk to quite a few different game developers at this point.
Oh, shit.
And it does really feel like you do pay attention to what the players say, but how do you feel about looking at Reddit? Like, how much can you actually learn from looking at small portions of the community and trying to learn from what they're saying or talking to different content creators? How much does that actually add to, like, your insight into what you want to build?
You have, and actually getting down there in the trenches and making posts and interacting with those people on that personal level.
It's critically important, right? Without our community, we wouldn't be here. Like, the community, they're the people who wear the Path of Exile t-shirts to LANs or to GDC and stuff. They're the people who get their friends to play. I honestly feel that very few people pick up Path of Exile without a friend actually saying, dude, you need to play this game, and holding their hand through it. Having a community is vital. This is not a single player game. And so whatever we have to do to help the community understand our choices and to feel comfortable and excited about the future of the game, we will do.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's definitely reassuring to hear that, because I know that having communities and having that open line of communication between developers and also the community just makes these changes so much social elements of the game.
Social stuff is critically important, and here's a little bit of a teaser. One of the things on the scope for the October expansion is a little bit of a rework to guild stuff. I don't mean to tease too much of the future, but an example of what we're looking into might be guild hideouts. And so that's an example of the type of stuff we're exploring, because social is important to us. More information about that later.
That's cool.
But we do critically believe that players being able to play with their friends and have an experience where they want to log in, not only to kill monsters and find good items, but just because that's where their life is quite important. And at the same time, we have the competing thing. We believe action RPGs should also be fully playable solo. Like, whenever anyone suggests raid content, we say, if we can find a way for that raid to be playable with one person in a fun way, then we'll do it. But social, of course, shouldn't be left by the wayside. So we both want to have it so the game is fully playable solo, because at the end of the day, your friends have to sleep before you do, and you just want to get another 2 levels. But in addition, being able to play with your friends is a great experience. Because when you kill Katava in regular today's Path of Exile, you get a lot of blue items and a lot of yellow items, and it's just a complete spam. And so in 3.15, you'll find that the rarity skew is much higher. You will get like a ton more uniques than before from our bosses, but far fewer overall
boss
items.
farming?
That makes a lot of sense. I'm glad to see that too. I mean, especially in terms of the item load that we were talking about earlier. And I do definitely see where Ziz is coming from, because there are those really, really cool items. And it's not just Watcher's Eye, and it's not just Shaper's items, but it's things like the Brass Dome from, let's say, the Minotaur.
Hard by just having it so the uniques barely drop and stuff. That's not the right direction. On the other hand, frustrations suck. It's not good when you're trying to do a trade because you need a little bit of currency and you just can't get it. And we're aware of this. With Expedition League that comes out tomorrow, one of the 4 vendors, his entire purpose is doing exchanges, unlimited exchanges one-to-one for the different currency that the vendors use, so that you don't have to go to the trade system in order to frustratingly try to deal with another player to do certain exchanges there, right? That's important for getting equipment, but the amount of currency micromanagement here means that we don't want players to have to go to other people to do that one. And so we're very consciously trying to make sure that, it's not too frustrating.
I am very glad to
he's talking about the league currency, not currency, chat.
20 minutes trying to find somebody to buy my Exalted
league currency.
So I'm very glad to hear that, absolutely. And so what I'm hearing is kind of you look at the gearing process and the pursuit of trading and buying a new item in the same opportunity cost fashion, because it takes you a lot of time to do that, and that if you want to invest the time into doing that, you can. However, you can just continuously play the game and get upgrades as you go. Do you kind of view it with the same philosophy as picking up the different types of currency, with the opportunity cost of the time invested versus just being able to play the game on your own?
Pain to get this one weapon he needed, and he felt so good for months afterwards because it was so impactful to him.
So we got the item though, right? He got the item, is that right?
He did get the item, yep.
Hell
he still told me about it.
I remember I remember the first place I was at whenever I got my first headhunter, and I remember that very, very clearly. So I think that's definitely a good thing. And yeah, having those items and being able to like kind of pick that up, and especially whenever you're trading and like seeing that perfect item that you want on the auction house and being able to finally buy it after looking for 3 days, there's kind of a value in it. And kind of like the friction between trading creates those points of excitement and creates those stories and experiences like that. Is that kind of what the
and then it uses them simultaneously with various bonuses and so on. And so we're trying hard to have it so you can combine skills together in new ways. So you could, for example, and this is me just making stuff up, I'm not promising a skill here. You could, for example, have a thing where you put a skill with a minion, and that minion will use that skill inside a metagem. This is not a thing. That's just me spitballing.
That's OP!
That type of system. So our goal here is that the system is strictly better, much easier to learn, and a ton deeper than before.
I have a kind of a personal question whenever you brought up the minions, is that whenever I'm playing with like Vol summoned skeletons or with a lot of carrying golems, sometimes I don't really know what's going to be underneath.
And it's finished. With Path of Exile, we know that's like a 90% game right now, in my opinion at least. And we can take it from 90 to 95 by being careful, by putting better graphics, better campaign, better skills, deeper systems, make it easier. As far as we're concerned, we're grinding out the 90 to 95% thing here by being really careful and by just making it good and modern, right? So we're releasing Path of Exile 2, already knowing it's probably a 95% game, and the other companies are hoping for 95%. And so that's just a big luxury that we have here, because we have an existing game we can test stuff in the meantime, whereas they cannot take a Diablo 4 feature and put it in Diablo 3 necessarily. Maybe they could. That'd be pretty cool. Don't do that, Blizzard. But they potentially are at a bit of a disadvantage there. And then, of course, the second issue is we have a decade of past content that's available on launch day. And it's crazy to think that when we launch our action RPG, it may have more content in it than a Blizzard game. But that's the situation we'll be in because of the fact we have all these leagues and supporting infrastructure and 1,000 unique items and so on, just waiting on launch day that came from Path of Exile 1, our best content in some cases.
Oh, and so
that's important because player numbers are all about hype, and hype is all about promises, and promises are all about creep, right? If we said, tomorrow's league drops 1 unique item per area guaranteed, blah, 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 look at all these rewards, look at this thing and this thing, and we just totally inflated everything, we'd probably get record player numbers because people want to play circus mode PoE with all these rewards and so on.
That would
not be a good game. That would be a step backwards, but it would have rewarding player numbers, right? We could take our supporter packs and everything and triple the amount of contents in them and reduce, provide discounts on points and get record sales. We could break our previous sales by 50% and be totally wrecking the future of the company if we needed to. In some cases, made quite badly. Like the Path of Exile campaign is not a particularly good product, if you see what I mean, by modern standards. Whereas the Path of Exile 2 campaign is being made by a highly paid team of 150 plus people who have decades of game experience on a game with tons of feedback. Like, it's just so much better. The writing's better, the quests are better, it looks better. It's just so much more fun to play through. And then we get to use all of that in the maps. Like, it's just a much better game.
That's, I mean, it doesn't get more simple than that. Yeah, I mean, there you go. Yeah. So whenever PoE 2 comes out, are we going to have the PoE 1 campaign at all, or do we just immediately do the PoE 2 campaign?
Because we see solo self-found and hardcore as optional modes to make the game harder. I should add, I play both solo self-found and hardcore together because it's the right way to play Path of Exile for various reasons. It's for at least my type of,
doing it wrong.
I want to play solo self-found hardcore. But we definitely don't balance around these. These are optional things you choose to put yourself through because you're masochistic. There are things we could do, for example, to make it that solo self-found players or hardcore players got what they needed. There could be some way of getting specific unique items that you can just grind to get a build enabling thing. In hardcore, there could be much easier ways of getting defenses, but we do not feel that it is correct for us to modify the games around these modes. Instead, those players who are advanced players need to solve those problems themselves. They need to find ways to get the items they want. They need to find ways to get the defenses they want. Having said that, we want to make sure you can get items and you can get defenses. Like, we're not philosophically opposed to either of them, but we certainly don't want to try to solve it by just shimming in a system that will give it to those players.
Wondering for like such a long time. So I do want to say, as we get into the more question-based segment of the show, thank you so much, Chris, for coming on. Really, and yeah, this is awesome for me. I've loved this game for a long time, and actually just having some of the answers just that straight up is actually just it's very refreshing. I think that's one of the big words.
He's into too many Blizzard devs,
especially now with and this is kind of a question I might have. Do you ever feel like you worry about communicating things in a certain way because people might take them a bad way? With I know you said like with Reddit, etc. Because nowadays I think that some of the game studios, it feels like almost whenever they're making a statement or talking about their game, it's like a press release from the government or something like that. Can you guys send me a shirt though?
We can send you a shirt.
Okay, all right. I'll follow up with that later. Yeah, I'll definitely follow up with that later.
Made an apparel.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I'll do that for sure. I already have one hoodie, so I'd like to add one to my collection.
X tells me that a shirt is on the way, so...
Well, already? Okay. All right, there we go. Awesome. All right, go ahead, Rich.
So it is now paid, I guess.
Oh, great, yeah. There we go.
Yep.
Yeah, no, in all seriousness, if we ever do a paid sponsorship on the show, we will make sure that everybody knows. A lot of the focus of Allcraft, though, is very much changed to just be stuff that Asmon and I are excited about playing, and I think you've naturally seen that shift. But yeah, I think we will make it very, very apparent when there is a paid sponsorship on the show, like our sponsorship with NordVPN. And you guys can actually check right now down in the panels and in chat if you do want to see the actual sponsor of the show, which is ongoing. It is the permanent partner of Allcraft. So you can use code Allcraft if you do want to support the show from NordVPN.
Keep that in mind, guys. Yeah, it's literally against the law to not say that it's a sponsorship. Thank you very much for coming on. I don't want to take too much of your time. Obviously, you got a very big day ahead of you tomorrow. And so I do want to say, again, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for all the answers. And thanks for making the game. It's been a lot of fun. I look forward to playing.
You guys have been a big fan for a while, and it's awesome to do this. It's been great.
Absolutely. Well, anyway, guys, thank you all very much for watching today. And guys, if you don't know already, pathofexile.com, Google it, find it, whatever it is. Game's free to play. And New League's coming out tomorrow. I'll probably be playing it soon, if not tomorrow exactly. And I think it comes out at 1 p.m. my time, 1 or 2 p.m., somewhere around midday if you're in the U.S. And is that right, Chris?
Yeah, that's right. It comes out about 24 hours after this podcast started.
Oh, all right. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, somewhere around there. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Thank you again, Chris, and everybody in the PoE team for making this possible. Thank you.